Happy New Year and welcome back to Ride JBI. This is JB. Today we finished a suspension revalve on this 2024 Kawasaki KX250. For the past couple of years now, the Kawasaki KX250 has featured KYB suspension. This is the change, as previously the KX250 featured Showa suspension. This was from the years starting in 2006 all the way up to 2019 or 2020. And right around that year is when Kawasaki made the switch for the 250F from the, at the time, separate function Showa spring fork that they had run for a long time, and they switched over to this KYB SSS forks and KYB shock. Now, if you have ridden one of these Kawasaki's with the KYB suspension, then you will know from experience that the suspension is set up on the firmer side, especially the front forks. And also the spring rates are a bit on the firmer side. Again, most of this relating to the front forks. At Ride JBI, we have been testing, tuning, and developing suspension for the Kawasaki KX250 for quite a long time now, since it was called the KX250F, before Kawasaki dropped the F on the name, since they started doing that in 2021, I believe. Anyhow, it's been really fun watching the evolution of the Kawasaki KX250F, or KX250, seeing what Kawasaki has done with the motor over the years, with the frame over the years, and now the different suspension components as well. This year in 2024, the new Kawasaki KX450 was just released with some updates, and it looks like 2025 will be the year that the 250F follows the same suit as well. That doesn't mean that 2024 KX250 has gone without updates. It's just as of lately, it's been receiving just some really nice, well-placed updates and modifications over the years. And that has made this bike a very, very competitively performing bike. This suspension was set up to our JBI suspension motocross spec. The most common feedback we get from riders that are not of the pro level or very aggressive is that the front forks are a little bit chattery. They lack some good feel going over those small and medium bumps that you often find going into and coming out of corners. At Ride JBI, the main goal of our JBI suspension motocross revalve for the KYB SSS forks is improving the fork comfort and plushness of these forks. So that way the front end tracks a lot better as you go in and as you go into corners and come out of corners that feature those small to medium sized consecutive chatter bumps. We focused on doing that while maintaining the very good bottoming resistance and hold up that these forks do possess in stock form. By doing so, really allows these forks to perform better overall, because with the JBI suspension mods, you'll have a smoother, more comfortable feeling fork, but also the same good bottoming resistance that you became accustomed to with the stock settings of this fork. We did go down on the spring rates just a little bit, but that is specific to this rider, as they are on the lighter side of the scale. So we actually went down 2 spring rates on the forks and 2 spring rates on the shock. This rider just tips the scales at over 100 pounds, so we had to reduce the spring rates quite a bit to account for the combined weight of the bike and rider, which is quite a bit less than what the stock spring rates call for. The KYB shock is not set up as stiff as the front forks are. And what I mean by that is in terms of damping resistance, aka the hydraulics, and also the spring rate. It's much more in line with what you would expect out of a stock bike. And for most riders out there, what I mean by that is most riders are amateurs and experienced riders. They know how to ride, but they're not pro level riders. At Ride JBI, for the shock revalve, We mainly focus on getting the shock to just be much more in harmony and better balance with the front forks. That way the bike works better in unison as the rider is on it and riding. What is nice is the stock shock does feature some very competitive settings out of the box, so the modifications we are doing here at Ride JBI on these shocks for our motocross settings are pretty mild, but that's a good thing because we already have something that performs well. So instead of throwing all that out and changing it all, we just like to go ahead and really massage and fine tune what's there and take what is already working well and make it work even better. And that's our focus for this JBI suspension shock revalve on this KYB shock. Ride JBI has also tested, tuned, and developed many other suspension settings for the Kawasaki KX250. We have developed suspension settings for all the various types of off-road riding, for motocross, pro motocross, supercross, arena cross, and freestyle motocross. If you'd like Ride JBI to do your suspension, or if you have questions about what we can do for you, please give us a call or send us an email. We can discuss the year, make, model bike that you have, which options are available, and which setup would be most advantageous for you. I really dig the green caps on these Kaways. Nice little touch. Whoop, that's my finger. Nice little touch that they did. I'm bummed that they got rid of the black lower tubes. For a long time, all Kawasaki's, the KX250 and 450, had black lower tubes. Looked really trick and just cool right off the showroom floor. It looks like they've gone away with that on the 250 and also on the 450 for 2004 as well. Anyhow, all JBI suspension services and parts can be found at ridejbi.com.